The James Webb Space Telescope has just done something no machine in human history has ever done. It stopped the world in its tracks. For hours, NASA fell silent. Government scrambled behind closed doors. Social feeds exploded with whispers that the telescope had captured an image so unsettling, so impossible, that it froze even the most skeptical scientists. What did Webb see, hidden in the silent dark of space, that could bring humanity to a halt? The answer is stranger and more dangerous than anyone expected. When the James Webb Space Telescope first unfolded its golden mirrors in the silent vacuum of space, the world held its breath. It wasn't just another scientific project, it was a time machine, a promise to pierce the darkness of the cosmos and reveal the very first sparks of creation. News anchors called it humanity's greatest eye. Children in classrooms were told they might grow up in a world where the universe itself no longer looked the same. Every shimmering image Webb sent back, the birth of stars, the delicate glow of galaxies billions of light years away, was received like a message from the past. It was art and science fused together, proof that humanity could reach further than ever before. For a time, the telescope united the world in awe. Rival nations shared discoveries. Scientists spoke not in terms of competition, but of wonder. Even the public scrolling through social feeds felt part of something greater. Webb was not just a machine, it was humanity's shared window into eternity. But then came the silence. Not the silence of space, but the silence of institutions. One day the images stopped flowing. Briefings were cancelled. The usual jubilant commentary from astronomers fell quiet. Rumors spread. Was it a malfunction, a glitch? Or had Webb seen something it wasn't meant to? The world's greatest tool for discovery had suddenly become the center of unease. People began asking questions in hushed tones, questions with no answers. The telescope had shown us beauty, yes, but beauty was no longer the story. Somewhere in its endless gaze, Webb had captured something different, something so startling that admiration gave way to fear. Humanity's eye on the cosmos had blinked, and the world would never look at the sky the same way again. It began with a single frame, an image that at first glance seemed no different from the countless others Webb had sent before. A field of galaxies, scattered like jewels across a velvet black canvas, their light stretched thin by time itself. But in the lower quadrant, something was wrong. Amid the ancient spirals and glowing nebulae, there appeared a structure. Not a star, not a galaxy, but a shape, precise, symmetrical, geometric. Nature rarely builds in straight lines. This did. At first, NASA scientists tried to downplay it. Maybe it was a trick of light, an artifact of the telescope's instruments. But as Webb continued to observe the same patch of sky, the anomaly refused to vanish. The sharper the image became, the stranger it looked. Massive towers, shadowed. Angles, patterns that seemed to repeat. What Webb had captured didn't look like the chaotic beauty of the cosmos. It looked designed. The breathtaking detail should have been a triumph, but instead it triggered unease. Scientists whispered of structures that shouldn't exist. Reporters leaked fragments of descriptions. Conspiracy forums erupted with theories before officials could even agree on what they were seeing. The data was undeniable. The anomaly was vast, older than the Milky Way, and unlike anything known to physics. And then came the most chilling revelation of all. This was not just a relic of the past. In one series of exposures, Webb captured faint glimmers within the structure, tiny pulses of light that seemed to shift in pattern. To most, it looked random. To others, it looked like motion, activity. The telescope was built to look back in time. Instead, it had caught something that appeared alive, still stirring, still watching, across billions of years of distance. The first official responses came wrapped in calm, almost rehearsed language. NASA spokespeople described the anomaly as an unexpected formation requiring further analysis. They emphasized patience, reminding the public that science takes time. Astronomers interviewed on television spoke with measured tones, cautioning against premature conclusions. To the untrained ear, it sounded like steady professionalism. To the rest of the world, it sounded like evasion. Behind the scenes, however, Unease was spreading. Leaked emails suggested that even the most seasoned scientists were baffled. Dr. Lina Morales, a respected astrophysicist, admitted in a private seminar that the structure does not conform to any known cosmological model. Independent researchers, combing through publicly available Webb data, began publishing their own analyses, each one more unsettling than the last. Some described mathematical patterns hidden in the pulses of light. Others claimed the geometry matched no natural process. The calm of academia was cracking. Meanwhile, the media frenzy erupted like wildfire. Headlines screamed of alien megastructures and proof of ancient civilizations. Talk shows filled airtime with both astrophysicists and conspiracy theorists, their debates blurring the line between science and spectacle. Social media platforms pulsed with viral clips, some people weeping at the thought of cosmic neighbors, others shouting warnings that humanity had been noticed. The contrast was electric. On one side, officials urging restraint, their voices clipped and careful. On the other, a public spinning into panic and wonder, desperate for answers. Even world leaders couldn't resist weighing in, some calling for global cooperation, others demanding secrecy. The discovery had escaped containment. What began as a single strange image had spiraled into a storm of speculation and fear. And through it all, one question echoed louder than any official statement. If this structure was active, who or what was behind it? Theories erupted like sparks from a fire, each one trying to explain the impossible. The most conservative voices clung to natural causes. Some argued the anomaly might be a cluster of galaxies colliding in such a precise way that it only appeared geometric. Others suggested a gravitational lensing effect, a cosmic mirage caused by light, bending around invisible mass. These explanations reassured a few, but for many they rang hollow. Nature, chaotic and free, rarely paints with such perfect lines. Then came the radical possibilities. A handful of physicists whispered about a phenomenon that could rewrite the laws of reality itself, structures forming not through matter, but through space-time folding in unnatural ways. If true, it wasn't just an anomaly. It was evidence that the universe was stranger than humanity's equations could capture. But the theory that seized the public's imagination was far more dramatic. Intelligence, the symmetry, the pulsing, lights, the vast scale, it all hinted at deliberate design. Could this be a megastructure built by an ancient civilization older than Earth itself? Some compared it to Dyson spheres, theoretical constructs designed to harness a star's energy. Others suggested it was a signal, deliberately placed to be found once a young species like ours looked deep enough. Conspiracy forums poured gasoline on the fire. Leaked insider documents claimed governments had known for years. Amateur decoders swore the pulses carried patterns, messages buried in the light. Fringe theorists went further, suggesting the structure wasn't distant at all but closer than we were told, hidden in plain sight. And then came a theory so wild it spread faster than all the rest. What if the anomaly wasn't ancient at all? What if it was new, something that had appeared recently in real cosmic time? That idea left even the skeptics shaken. The turning point didn't arrive through an official press conference or a carefully worded scientific paper. It came through a leak. Late one night, an anonymous file began circulating on encrypted forums, a cache of internal reports allegedly pulled from within NASA's secure servers. Most dismissed it at first as the usual internet noise, until journalists began to verify pieces of it. Buried among pages of technical jargon were images, raw and unprocessed, taken by Webb weeks earlier. And in those images, the anomaly was clearer, sharper, and far more unsettling than anything the public had been shown. The leaked photos revealed angles too precise to dismiss as lensing. Vast, arching towers stretched across impossible distances, shadowed hollows carved out hexagonal shapes, and in one sequence, a faint flicker of light moved, not randomly, but in a line. To some, it looked like a simple cosmic ray. To others, it was unmistakably deliberate. Then came the insider testimony. A former contractor, voice disguised, appeared on an underground podcast claiming the anomaly wasn't just being studied, it was being monitored. According to him, agencies weren't worried about what Webb had seen in the past. They were worried about what it was doing now. "It's not just out there," he said, "it's aware." Suddenly the whispers of design were no longer abstract theories. The possibility that this structure could notice us, could respond, to our gaze, shattered the fragile line between observation and contact. Governments scrambled. Emergency meetings of the UN were held behind closed doors. Leaked flight logs suggested telescopes across the world had been redirected toward the same coordinates. The world's attention turned from curiosity to dread. It was one thing to admire distant galaxies, lifeless and serene. It was another to realize that in peering deep into the cosmos, humanity might have caught the attention of something vast, ancient, and still alive. The Webb telescope was built to look back in time, to witness the universe as it once was. But now it seemed the universe had looked back, and the haunting question that no official dared speak aloud began to spread through every corner of the internet. If it has noticed us, what happens next? The implications rippled across every facet of human life. Philosophers warned that humanity stood on the brink of an existential shift, the kind that reshapes civilizations forever. Religious leaders split. Some declared it proof of divine design, others called it a challenge to faith itself. Politicians scrambled to spin narratives, some urging unity in the face of the unknown, others exploiting fear to tighten control. The discovery had become more than a scientific puzzle. It was a mirror held up to humanity's soul. For ordinary people, the emotions were tangled. Some were gripped by terror. If something out there had noticed us, what power could it wield? Others were filled with hope, imagining that first contact could bring knowledge, technology, or even kinship across the stars. For scientists, the questions were staggering. What laws of physics allowed such a structure to exist? Who or what could sustain it? And yet beneath the debates, one truth pulsed louder than all. We were no longer alone in our certainty of isolation. Humanity had always gazed outward, believing the universe indifferent to our presence. Now the silence had cracked. Whether it brought salvation or danger, one thing was clear. We had entered the most profound chapter of our history. For the first time in living memory, the entire planet seemed to pause. Not for war, not for disaster, not for celebration, but for something bigger than all of us. The James Webb Space Telescope had fulfilled its promise of showing us the universe as it once was, but in doing so, it had shown us something else. A reflection we were never prepared to see. Humanity, scattered across continents and divided by endless differences, now stood together in a single breath of awe and fear. It was our stopped world moment, the instant we realized the cosmos was not a silent stage, but a living theater, and perhaps we were no longer the only audience. Generations to come will mark this as the day our questions outgrew our answers, the day the mystery of the stars shifted from distant wonder to immediate presence. And as we look skyward, the thought lingers like a chill in the bones. What if we are not the watchers but the watched? The Webb telescope may have been built to show us the universe, but in its unblinking gaze it may have revealed something far more profound. Perhaps at last, the universe has seen us back.